She planted this on me and thought I wouldn't notice. Clever witch.
There are 3 things you never want to hear before sunrise: a coyote in your trash, your wife's voice in a hotel room, or a mechanic saying, "Drive to the police now." I hit the trifecta. My name's Jake Morrison, and until 3 months ago, I thought I knew what rock bottom looked like. Turns out I was still floating somewhere near the surface. The whole mess started when my piece of crap Honda decided to die on Highway 47, about 20 miles outside our crumbling mid-sized city that used to matter back when factories still employed people. I'd been driving back from what was supposed to be a surprise visit to Clara's law conference in Denver. Surprise was right, just not the kind I'd planned. Ray's auto shop squatted like a wounded animal between a defunct mattress store and a check-cashing place that probably laundered more money than it processed. The kind of neighborhood where streetlights flicker and die young. Ray himself looked like he'd been working on cars since the Model T, all grease-stained coveralls and permanent scowl lines. "Alternators shot," he grunted, wiping his hands on a rag that had seen better decades. "But we got a bigger problem." That's when he popped my trunk, and his face went white as fresh snow. "Jesus Christ," he whispered, slamming it shut so fast I thought he'd break the latch. "You need to drive to the police station. Right now." "What the hell are you talking about?" Ray's hands shook as he fumbled for a business card from his pocket. The thing was so worn I could barely make out the numbers. "Call this number. Tell them code red. Your wife set you up, friend. That package in your trunk, that ain't Christmas presents." My blood turned to ice water. "What package?" "The kind that gets you 20 to life if the wrong people find it. Or the right people, depending on how you look at it." Ray's eyes darted toward the street like he expected black SUVs to come screeching around the corner. "I've seen this before. Someone's using you as a mule." The word hit me like a sledgehammer. Mule, pill runner, Patsy, Clara. My wife of 18 years, mother of my daughter, the woman who'd been working late more nights than I could count, taking mysterious phone calls in the bathroom, buying lingerie I'd never seen her wear. The woman who'd suggested I drive her car to Denver because mine was unreliable. The same woman whose voice I'd heard through a hotel room door that morning, breathless and laughing with someone who definitely wasn't me. I dialed the number with fingers that felt like sausages. "Code red," I said when someone picked up. "Location?" "Ray's Auto Shop, Highway 47. Stay put, 20 minutes. The line went dead. Ray was already pulling my car into his garage bay, moving faster than a man his age should. "You got family? Daughter, 19. She know what mommy does for extra cash?" The question hit me like a physical blow. Emma, my smart, sarcastic, social media-obsessed daughter who'd been giving me the cold shoulder for months, who'd made snide comments about me being too slow to keep up with mom's success, who'd mentioned just last week that Ethan's car was here again when I'd asked about the unfamiliar BMW in our driveway. Ethan, Clara's colleague at Morrison & Associates. Slick, wealthy, the kind of guy who wore $1,000 suits and drove cars worth more than my annual salary. The kind of guy my wife apparently found more interesting than her blue-collar husband. 20 minutes felt like 20 hours, I muttered to myself, pacing Ray's greasy shop floor. That's when I saw them. 2 black Escalades moving slowly down the street, windows tinted so dark they looked like rolling coffins. "Ray," I called out, but the old mechanic was already hitting a button that brought the garage door slamming down. "Back exit," he hissed. "Now!" But it was too late. The Escalades had stopped. Car doors slammed like bangs. My phone buzzed. Text message from an unknown number. "Bring the package. Parking lot behind the shop. Come alone, or your daughter learns what disappointment really means." Emma. They knew about Emma. Ray grabbed my arm with surprising strength. "Don't do it. Whatever they're threatening, don't do it. Those people don't negotiate. They eliminate problems." They mentioned my daughter. "Then we call the number again. Tell them to hurry." I was already moving toward the back door when it exploded inward. 3 men in expensive suits that couldn't quite hide the bulges under their arms. The kind of men who smiled with their mouths, but not their eyes. "Mr. Morrison," the lead guy said, his accent carrying just a hint of something south of the border. "You have something that belongs to us." "I don't know what you're talking about." "The trunk of your car, the package your lovely wife placed there. We need it back." So Clara had put it there. My wife, the woman I'd trusted with everything, had turned me into a pill mule without my knowledge. The betrayal hit harder than fear. "And if I don't?" The man's smile widened. "Your daughter Emma posts quite frequently on Instagram. Very pretty girl. Attends State University, lives in Morrison Hall, room 237. Takes her morning jog at 7:15 every day through Riverside Park. They'd done their homework. Ray stepped forward. Bless his greasy heart. You boys need to leave. Now. Stay out of this, old man. That's when Ray did something that probably saved both our lives. He hit the panic button. The alarm was loud enough to wake the dead. But more importantly, it was connected to the security company that monitored half the businesses on this strip. Within 30 seconds, we could hear sirens in the distance. The lead guy's smile faltered. This isn't over, Morrison. You have something that belongs to us, and we will get it back. They were gone before the first patrol car arrived, but not before the lead guy dropped a business card at my feet. No name, just a phone number, and an address I didn't recognize. The next hour was a blur of cops, questions, and federal agents who appeared like magic once someone mentioned cartel packages. They opened my trunk with all the ceremony of a bomb disposal unit and found exactly what Ray had seen. A carefully wrapped package about the size of a shoebox, tucked behind my spare tire. How long has this been in your vehicle, Mr. Morrison? I have no idea. My wife asked me to drive her car to Denver this morning. Said mine was unreliable. The agents exchanged looks that said everything I needed to know. I wasn't the first husband to get caught in this particular web. We'll need to speak with your wife. Good luck with that. Last I saw her, she was in a hotel room with someone who wasn't me. More looks, more notes. They released me 6 hours later with a warning to stay available and a business card for a federal agent named Sarah Chen, who specialized in domestic cartel operations. Apparently, using unwitting family members as pill mules was becoming increasingly common. Your wife's in serious trouble, Mr. Morrison, Agent Chen said as I signed the last of the paperwork. But if she cooperates, if she helps us identify her contacts, we might be able to work something out. And if she doesn't, then she's looking at 25 to life. I drove home in a police escort, my mind racing faster than the speedometer. Clara had betrayed me in ways I was still discovering. She'd put our daughter at risk. She'd turned me into a criminal without my knowledge. But the thing that burned most was how stupid she must have thought I was, how easy to manipulate, how completely beneath her notice. She was about to learn just how wrong she'd been. The house felt different when I walked through the front door. Same furniture, same family photos on the mantel, same coffee stain on the carpet where Emma had spilled her latte last Christmas. But now, everything looked like evidence in a crime scene I was just beginning to understand. Clara's car was in the driveway, my car, technically, since I'd been driving hers. She was home early from her conference, which made sense since the conference had apparently been taking place in Ethan's hotel room. I found her in the kitchen, still wearing the black dress I'd seen through the hotel room keyhole that morning. She looked up when I entered, and for just a moment I saw something flicker across her face. Fear? Guilt? Or just annoyance that her carefully laid plans had gone sideways. Jake, you're back early. How was the drive? The casual lie rolled off her tongue like she'd been practicing. Maybe she had. Interesting, I said, setting my keys on the counter with deliberate care. Car broke down. Had to get it towed to Ray's shop. Oh no, I'm so sorry. I told you that car was unreliable. Yeah, you did. Funny thing, though. Ray found something interesting in the trunk. Clara's hand froze halfway to her wine glass. What do you mean? I think you know exactly what I mean. We stared at each other across the kitchen island that had been the site of 18 years of family dinners, homework sessions, and quiet conversations. Now it felt like a battlefield. I don't know what you're talking about, she said finally. The federal agents who spent the afternoon questioning me might disagree. The wine glass slipped from her fingers and shattered on the tile floor. Red wine spread like blood across the white grout. Federal agents? Turns out using your husband as an unwitting pill mule is frowned upon by law enforcement. Who knew? Clara's face went through several color changes, white to red to gray. Jake, I can explain. Can you? Can you explain why there was a cartel package in the trunk of the car you insisted I drive? Can you explain why 3 armed men showed up at Ray's shop looking for it? Can you explain why they knew Emma's dorm room number? That last part hit home. Clara grabbed the counter for support. They threatened Emma? What did you think would happen, Clara? Did you think this was some kind of game? Some easy money on the side while you screwed around with your colleague? How did you... The Marriott downtown, room 237. You might want to work on your phone voice. It carries through doors. Clara sank into one of the kitchen chairs like her strings had been cut. It wasn't supposed to happen like this. How is it supposed to happen? Walk me through the plan. Was I supposed to get arrested at a traffic stop? Were you going to play the shocked, betrayed wife? Maybe use my incarceration as grounds for divorce? It's not like that. Then what is it like? Clara was quiet for a long moment, staring at the broken glass and spilled wine. When she looked up, her eyes were different, harder, like she'd made some kind of decision. You wouldn't understand. Try me. You've never understood what it's like to be married to someone with no ambition, no drive, no desire to be anything more than what you already are. The words hit like physical blows. 18 years of marriage, and this was what she really thought of me. So, you decided to commit federal crimes? That's your idea of ambition? I decided to take control of my life, to stop waiting for you to become someone worth being married to. And Ethan, where does he fit into your new life plan? Ethan understands me. He sees my potential. He sees your potential as a pill mule. It was supposed to be one time, one package, enough money to start over. Start over without me, you mean? Clara didn't deny it. That's when Emma walked through the front door, backpack slung over her shoulder, earbuds in, completely oblivious to the domestic apocalypse unfolding in the kitchen. Hey, Dad! Mom! She pulled out one earbud and noticed the broken glass. What happened here? Clara and I looked at each other. For just a moment, we were united in wanting to protect our daughter from the truth. But that moment passed quickly. Your mother has something to tell you, I said. Jake, don't. Don't what? Don't tell our daughter that her mother tried to frame me for pill trafficking. Don't mention that cartel members know where she lives. Don't explain why federal agents spent the afternoon asking questions about our family. Emma's eyes went wide. What are you talking about? Ask your mother about the package in my trunk. Ask her about Ethan. Ask her about the hotel room. Mom? Clara's carefully constructed world was crumbling in real time. I could see her trying to decide between confession and denial, between truth and damage control. She chose damage control. Your father's having some kind of breakdown, Emma. He's been acting paranoid lately, making accusations. Paranoid? I laughed, but there was no humor in it. Is that what we're calling it when someone discovers their wife is a criminal? Dad, what's really going on? I pulled Agent Chen's business card from my wallet and handed it to Emma. Call this number. Ask Agent Chen to explain what they found in the trunk of your mother's car today. Ask her to explain why I spent 6 hours being questioned about cartel pill operations. Emma looked at the card, then at her mother, then back at me. This is real? As real as the 3 armed men who threatened to hurt you if I didn't cooperate. That did it. Clara's face crumpled. I never meant for anyone to get hurt. But you did mean for me to get arrested. I thought it would be clean, simple. You'd never know. And when I got pulled over with pills in my trunk, Ethan said they had people who could make sure that didn't happen. Ethan said, Jesus, Clara, you trusted our family's safety to some guy you're sleeping with? Emma made a sound like she'd been punched. You're cheating on Dad? The silence stretched like a wire about to snap. Emma, it's complicated. It's really not, I interrupted. Your mother is having an affair with a man who convinced her to use me as a pill mule. When that plan went sideways, cartel members showed up looking for their property and threatening to hurt you. That's about as uncomplicated as it gets. Emma looked at her mother with something approaching disgust. How could you do this to us? You don't understand the pressure I've been under. The expectations. Your father's been holding me back for years. So you decided to destroy our family? I decided to save myself. The honesty was brutal and final. Clara had made her choice, and it wasn't us. Emma turned to me. What happens now? Now your mother cooperates with federal agents or goes to prison for 25 years. Now we figure out how to rebuild our lives without her. Now we deal with the fact that dangerous people know who we are and where we live. I can fix this, Clara said desperately. I can talk to Ethan. I can make this right. You can't fix this, Clara. You can only decide whether you're going to help the feds catch the people who put our daughter in danger, or whether you're going to protect the man you were willing to destroy your family for. Clara's phone buzzed. She looked at it and her face went even paler. What is it? Emma asked. Text message from Ethan. He says we need to talk. I held out my hand. Let me see it. Clara hesitated, then handed me the phone. The message was short and to the point. Package compromised. Meet me at the usual place. Come alone. We need to discuss damage control. The usual place? I asked. The Riverside Motel. Of course. The kind of place that rented rooms by the hour and didn't ask questions about fake names on the register. You're not going, I said. I have to. If I don't explain what happened, if you don't, what? He'll be disappointed in you? Clara, this man used you to commit federal crimes. He put our daughter in danger. He doesn't care about you. He cares about protecting himself. You don't know him. I know he's willing to let you take the fall for this. I know he's probably already planning to disappear and leave you holding the bag. Clara's phone buzzed again. Another message from Ethan. If you don't come, I'll assume you're cooperating with law enforcement. That would be unfortunate for everyone involved. Emma read the message over my shoulder. Is he threatening us? Yeah, I said. He is. That's when something shifted inside me. For months, I'd been the understanding husband, the patient father, the guy who tried to keep the peace and hold the family together. I'd absorbed Clara's criticism, her distance, her obvious dissatisfaction with our life. I'd made excuses for her behavior and blamed myself for her unhappiness. But threatening my daughter? That was a line no one got to cross. Here's what's going to happen, I said, surprised by the calm in my own voice. You're going to call Agent Chen and tell her about this message. You're going to cooperate fully with the investigation. You're going to help them catch Ethan and whoever else is involved in this operation. And if I don't, then you can explain to Emma why you chose your criminal boyfriend over your family's safety. Clara looked at our daughter, searching for some sign of support or understanding. Emma's expression was stone cold. I can't believe you did this to us, Emma said quietly. I can't believe you put us in danger for some guy. Emma, please. No, Dad's right. You have to choose. Them or us. Clara stared at her phone for a long moment, then at Emma, then at me. I could see the calculation happening behind her eyes, weighing her options, trying to find some angle that would let her have it both ways. There wasn't one. I need time to think. You don't have time, I said. Agent Chen needs to know about this message, now. What if I can convince Ethan to just walk away? What if we can all just disappear and pretend this never happened? Clara, listen to yourself. You're talking about running away with a man who's involved with pill cartels. You're talking about abandoning your daughter and destroying what's left of your family for someone who's already shown he's willing to throw you under the bus. He loves me. The words hung in the air like a bad smell. Emma actually laughed. Mom, he's using you. Can't you see that? Dad's right. He's probably already planning to disappear and leave you to take the blame. Clara's phone buzzed a third time. This message was different. Time's up. Make your choice. I made it for her. I took the phone and called Agent Chen. Agent Chen, this is Jake Morrison. My wife just received some threatening messages from her contact. We need to talk. Clara stared at me with something approaching hatred. You have no idea what you just did. I protected our daughter, something you should have thought about before you got involved with criminals. This isn't over, Jake. You're right. It's just beginning. Agent Chen arrived 40 minutes later with 2 other federal agents in a surveillance van that looked like a cable repair truck. They set up in our living room like they were planning a military operation, which, in a way, they were. Mrs. Morrison, Agent Chen said, her voice professionally neutral, we need you to respond to Mr. Garrett's messages. Ethan's last name was Garrett. Somehow, knowing that made him seem less threatening and more pathetic. Ethan Garrett, homewrecker and pill trafficker. What do you want me to say? Tell him you're coming. Tell him you need to meet somewhere public, not the motel. Suggest the parking garage behind your law office. Why there? Because we've been watching that location for 3 weeks. Clara's head snapped up. You've been watching my office? Mrs. Morrison, your boyfriend isn't as smart as he thinks he is. We've been tracking his operation for months. The only reason we haven't moved yet is because we were waiting to identify all the players. What do you mean? Agent Chen exchanged a look with her colleagues. Mr. Garrett isn't the head of this operation. He's middle management at best. We need to know who's giving him orders. I don't know anything about that. Maybe not consciously, but you've been to meetings, dinners, social events. You've met his friends, his contacts. We need you to help us identify them. Clara looked genuinely confused. What meetings? What contacts? Ethan and I, we mostly met at hotels. What about Lila Brennan? The name hit Clara like a physical blow. What about her? She's your best friend, isn't she? The one who introduced you to Mr. Garrett? I watched my wife's face cycle through confusion, realization, and horror. Lila introduced us at a charity fundraiser last year. But she's not involved in... She couldn't be. Mrs. Morrison, Lila Brennan owns 3 shell companies that we've traced to cartel money laundering operations. She owns the Lakeside Mansion where your boyfriend has been storing product. She's been using your law firm's client accounts to move money. That's impossible. Is it? Think about it. How did you really meet Mr. Garrett? Who suggested you start seeing him? Who knew about your marital problems? Who had access to your office, your files, your client information? Clara sank into the couch like she'd been deflated. Lila's been my best friend for 10 years. She's been using you for 10 years, Agent Chen corrected. The affair, the pill running, even the plan to frame your husband, that was all designed to give her complete access to your legal practice and your family's assets. Emma spoke up from the corner where she'd been listening in horrified silence. What do you mean, our assets? Agent Chen turned to her. Your mother has power of attorney over your college fund, your father's retirement account, and the equity in this house. If your father had been arrested and convicted, all of that would have fallen under your mother's control. And then, Lila would have had access to it through Mom. Exactly. I felt sick. The betrayal kept getting deeper, more elaborate, more devastating. My wife hadn't just been having an affair. She'd been the unwitting pawn in a plan to steal everything we'd built over 18 years of marriage. Clara, I said quietly, call Ethan. Set up the meeting. I can't. If Lila's really involved, if she's been using me, then help us stop her. Clara looked at her phone like it was a poisonous snake. What if they hurt Emma? What if they come after her? They already threatened Emma, I reminded her. The only way to protect her now is to help the feds shut this down. Agent Chen leaned forward. Mrs. Morrison, I need you to understand something. These people aren't going to just walk away. They've invested too much in this operation, and they know you can identify them. Your only options are to help us arrest them or to spend the rest of your life looking over your shoulder. What about witness protection? For a money laundering operation? Probably not. But if you help us take down the entire network, we can work out a plea deal that keeps you out of federal prison. Clara typed out a message. Can't meet at motel. Too risky after today. How about the parking garage behind my office? 1 hour. The response came back immediately. Fine. Come alone. He's agreeing to meet, Clara said. Good. Now we need to talk about what you're going to say. The next hour was like a crash course in undercover work. Agent Chen coached Clara on how to get Ethan talking, how to ask questions that would elicit incriminating responses, how to wear the wire they'd given her without being obvious about it. Emma and I watched from the kitchen, both of us struggling to process the fact that our quiet suburban life had somehow become the center of a federal investigation. Dad, Emma said quietly, are we going to be okay? I don't know, sweetheart, but we're going to figure it out. What if Mom goes to prison? Then we'll deal with that too. Emma was quiet for a moment. I'm sorry I've been such a witch to you lately. You haven't been. Yes, I have. Mom kept saying you were holding her back, that you weren't ambitious enough, that she deserved better. I believed her. She's your mother. Of course you believed her. But she was wrong. You're not the one who destroyed our family. I pulled Emma into a hug, and for the first time in months, she didn't pull away. We're going to get through this, I said. Whatever happens, we're going to get through it. Clara appeared in the kitchen doorway, looking pale but determined. I'm ready. Agent Chen was right behind her. Remember, Mrs. Morrison, we need him to talk about the operation, about who's in charge, about future plans. The more he says, the better case we can build. What if he suspects something? Then you stick to the story. You're scared about what happened today. You want to know what the plan is. You need reassurance that your family is safe. Clara nodded and headed for the door. I caught her arm as she passed. Clara, be careful. She looked at me with something that might have been gratitude. Jake, I know I can't fix what I've done, but I want you to know, I never meant for Emma to get hurt. I know. And I never meant to hurt you either. I lost my way. Yeah, you did. She left, and Agent Chen's team sprang into action. Surveillance monitors lit up, radio chatter filled the air, and suddenly our living room looked like something from a cop show. Emma and I sat on the couch, watching our life play out on federal surveillance equipment. This is so weird, Emma muttered. Yeah, it really is. On the monitor, we could see Clara's car pulling into the parking garage behind Morrison and Associates. The irony wasn't lost on me. The law firm that bore my name was about to be the site of my wife's attempt to bring down the criminals who'd been using her. There, Agent Chen said, pointing to another monitor. Black BMW, that's Garrett. Ethan Garrett looked exactly like what he was, a middle-aged man trying too hard to look young and successful. Expensive suit, expensive car, expensive watch, the kind of guy who thought money could buy him anything, including other people's wives. Audio's coming through clearly, one of the other agents reported. We could hear Clara's voice, nervous but steady. Ethan, I'm here. Jesus, Clara, what the hell happened today? I've been getting calls all afternoon. The package was discovered. Jake's car broke down and the mechanic found it. How did a damn mechanic know what it was? I don't know. But there were federal agents, Ethan. They questioned Jake for hours. Did he talk? He didn't know anything to talk about, but they know about us. They know about the package. They know about everything. There was a long pause. Then Ethan's voice, colder now. What did you tell them? Nothing. I told them nothing. Good. Because if you did, if you said anything that compromises this operation, you'll what? Threaten my daughter again? I'll do whatever it takes to protect myself, Clara. You knew the risks when you agreed to help. I agreed to help you, not some cartel. You agreed to make money. You agreed to a better life. How did you think that was going to happen? Agent Chen was taking notes furiously. This was exactly what they needed. Ethan admitting to the operation, to the threats, to Clara's involvement. What happens now? Clara asked. Now you keep your mouth shut and wait for instructions. Lila's handling damage control. Lila? What does Lila have to do with this? Ethan laughed, but there was no humor in it. Clara, you can't possibly be that naive. Who do you think set this whole thing up? Who introduced us? Who suggested using Jake as a mule? Who's been feeding us information about your law firm's client accounts? The silence on the audio feed was deafening. Lila's been planning this for over a year, Ethan continued. The affair was her idea. Getting you emotionally invested was her idea. Even framing Jake was her idea. But she's my friend. She's a businesswoman, and you were a useful asset. Were? Past tense, Clara. You're compromised now. The feds are watching you, your husband knows about the operation, and your daughter's become a liability. What do you mean, a liability? I mean, she knows too much. And she's not exactly keeping quiet about it. Agent Chen cursed under her breath. He's talking about eliminating witnesses. On the monitor, we could see Clara backing away from Ethan. You're talking about hurting Emma. I'm talking about protecting a multi-million-dollar operation. I won't let you hurt my daughter. You don't have a choice, Clara. You're in this now, all the way in. Either you're part of the solution or you become part of the problem. And if I refuse, then Lila handles you the same way she's planning to handle Jake. That was enough for Agent Chen. She spoke into her radio. All units, move in. We have enough. The next few minutes were chaos. On the monitor, we watched federal agents swarm the parking garage. Ethan tried to run, but didn't make it 10 feet before he was face down on the concrete, with his hands zip-tied behind his back. Clara stood frozen in the middle of it all, looking lost and terrified. Got him, Agent Chen said with satisfaction. And we got everything we needed on tape. What about Lila? I asked. That's next, but first, we need to get your family somewhere safe. If Garrett was telling the truth about elimination orders, you're all in immediate danger. Emma grabbed my arm. Dad, what's happening? We're leaving, right now. Agent Chen was already on her radio, arranging safe houses and protective details. Within minutes, our quiet suburban evening had become a federal operation with multiple moving parts. Pack light, Agent Chen told us. Just essentials. We'll be back for the rest later. As Emma ran upstairs to grab clothes and toiletries, I stood in my living room looking at 18 years of accumulated life, family photos, Emma's artwork from elementary school, the couch where Clara and I used to watch movies together. All of it felt like artifacts from someone else's life. Mr. Morrison, Agent Chen said, I need you to know, your wife probably saved your lives tonight. Whatever else she's done, she made the right choice when it mattered. Yeah, well, it's a little late for that. Maybe, but it's not too late to keep your family safe. Emma came back downstairs with a backpack and tears in her eyes. Are we ever coming back here? I don't know, sweetheart, but wherever we go, we'll go together. As we followed Agent Chen out to the waiting cars, I took one last look at the house where I'd thought I was building a life, where I'd believed in things like trust and loyalty and family. Tomorrow we'd start over. Tonight, we were just trying to survive. The safe house was a nondescript ranch home in a subdivision that looked like it had been built by someone who'd never seen an original idea. Agent Chen called it secure. I called it depressing. Emma and I sat at a kitchen table that belonged in a 1980s time capsule, picking at takeout Chinese food while federal agents monitored radio chatter and updated threat assessments. Clara was at a federal facility somewhere across town, being debriefed about every aspect of her relationship with Ethan and Lila. "Your wife's been very cooperative," Agent Chen told me around midnight. "She's providing details about financial transactions, meeting locations, people she's met through Garrett and Brennan." "Is it enough to make arrests?" "We arrested Garrett tonight, but Brennan's more careful. She's already started moving assets, closing accounts, covering her tracks. We need to move fast." "What do you need from us?" "Actually, we need something from you specifically, Mr. Morrison. Your wife says you've been to Brennan's lakeside house for dinner parties." I remembered Lila's casual gatherings that always seemed to include people I didn't know, and conversations that stopped when I entered the room. Clara had always said I was being paranoid. Turns out paranoid was just another word for paying attention. "Yeah, a few times. Why?" "We need someone who can get inside, someone she won't suspect." "You want me to go back there?" "We want you to deliver a message. From your wife. Lila doesn't know yet that we've arrested Garrett, and she doesn't know that your wife is cooperating. As far as she knows, you're still the clueless husband who got lucky today." Emma looked up from her untouched lo mein. "That sounds dangerous." "It is dangerous," Agent Chen admitted. "But it might be our only chance to catch her before she disappears completely." "What kind of message?" "Clara's scared. She needs to meet with Lila to figure out what happens next. She's worried about her family's safety and wants reassurance that the heat will die down. And while I'm delivering this message, our surveillance team will be recording everything. Hopefully, Brennan will say something incriminating or reveal information about the larger operation." I looked at Emma, who was trying hard to look brave and failing. "What if something goes wrong?" "We'll have agents positioned around the property. At the first sign of trouble, we move in." "Dad, you don't have to do this," Emma said. "Yeah, I do. Your mother got us into this mess. The least I can do is help get us out of it." Agent Chen spread out aerial photos of Lila's lakeside property. The house sits on about 5 acres, mostly wooded. There's a main house, a guest cottage, and a boat dock. Brennan lives alone, but she employs a groundskeeper and a housekeeper who both live off property. Security? Standard home security system, nothing fancy. A few cameras, motion sensors, but no armed guards or anything like that. She's been careful to maintain the appearance of a successful but unremarkable businesswoman. "When do we do this?" "Tomorrow morning. We'll have Clara call Brennan first, set up the meeting. Then you drive out there and deliver the message." Emma grabbed my hand. "Promise me you'll be careful." "I promise." But promises were cheap, and we both knew it. The next morning came too early, and with too much coffee. Agent Chen's team had been up all night preparing surveillance equipment and coordinating with local law enforcement. I felt like an actor being prepped for a role I'd never auditioned for. "Remember," Agent Chen said as she fitted me with a wire, "you're the worried husband who's in over his head. You don't know anything about the larger operation. You're just trying to protect your family. That part won't require much acting." "Good. Brennan's smart, but she's also arrogant. She thinks she's been manipulating you and your wife for months without you catching on. Use that." Clara called Lila at 9 a.m. from the federal facility, with agents coaching her through every word. "Lila, it's Clara. I need to see you. Something's happened." I could hear Lila's voice through the speakerphone, smooth and concerned. "Of course, honey. What's wrong?" "I can't talk about it over the phone. Can I come out to the lake house?" "Absolutely. When?" "This morning? I know it's short notice, but..." "Clara, you're scaring me. Are you all right?" "I will be, once I talk to you. Come now. I'll make coffee." After Clara hung up, Agent Chen turned to me. "You're on. Drive out there in an hour. Tell Brennan that Clara sent you because she was too upset to drive. Stick to the script." The script was simple. Clara was falling apart after yesterday's events. She was scared the police would connect her to Ethan. She needed Lila's advice about what to do next. I drove Clara's car, the same car that had been carrying cartel pills less than 24 hours earlier. The irony wasn't lost on me. Lila's lake house was exactly the kind of place that screamed, "I have money, but want you to think it came from legitimate sources." Tasteful, expensive, but not ostentatious. The kind of place a successful money launderer might buy to blend in with other successful professionals. Lila answered the door herself, looking concerned and maternal in an expensive sweater that probably cost more than my monthly mortgage payment. "Jake, where's Clara?" "She's at home, falling apart. She asked me to come instead." Lila's expression shifted slightly, and I caught a glimpse of something calculating behind the concerned friend act. "Come in. Tell me what happened." The living room was all exposed beams and tasteful artwork, with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the lake. The kind of room designed to make visitors feel impressed and slightly intimidated. "Clara's in trouble, Lila. Bad trouble." "What kind of trouble?" "The police found pills in my car yesterday. They think Clara's involved somehow." Lila sat down across from me, her face a perfect mask of shock and concern. "Pills? That's impossible. Clara would never—" "They also think she's having an affair." "Jake, that's ridiculous." "Is it? Because they seem to know an awful lot about her relationship with someone named Ethan Garrett." I watched Lila's face carefully, looking for any tell, any sign that she knew exactly who Ethan was and what he meant to Clara. She was good, but not perfect. There was just a flicker of something. Knowledge, maybe, or calculation. "I don't know anyone by that name." "Really? Because Clara said you introduced them." "I think Clara's confused. She's probably scared and not thinking clearly." "Maybe, but the police seem pretty sure about their information." Lila stood up and walked to the window, looking out at the lake. "Jake, I think Clara might be having some kind of breakdown. The stress of her job, the pressure she's been under." "What pressure?" "You know how demanding her work is. The long hours, the difficult clients. She's been struggling. Struggling enough to get involved with pill dealers." Lila turned back to me, and for just a moment, I saw something cold and carnivory in her eyes. "Is that what you think? That Clara's involved with pill dealers?" "I think Clara's involved with something she can't handle. And I think she needs help from someone she trusts." "Of course I'll help her. Clara's like a sister to me." "Good, because she's scared, Lila. Really scared. She thinks these people might hurt our family." "What people? The people Ethan works for? The people who put pills in my car?" Lila was quiet for a long moment, and I could almost see her weighing options, calculating risks, deciding how much to reveal. "Jake, I think you should take Clara and Emma away for a while. Take a vacation. Let things cool down." "Run away, you mean?" "I mean, protect your family." "From who?" "From whoever's trying to frame Clara for something she didn't do." It was a good answer, but it came a half-second too late. Lila knew more than she was saying, and we both knew it. "Clara wants to meet with you. Tonight. She says she needs to tell you everything." "Everything about what?" "About Ethan, about the pills, about whatever she's gotten herself involved in." Lila nodded slowly. "Where does she want to meet?" "Here. She says she feels safe here." "Of course. What time?" 8 o'clock. "I'll be waiting." I stood to leave, then turned back as if I'd just thought of something. "Lila, if Clara is involved in something illegal, if she's made some kind of mistake, you'd tell me, right? You'd help me protect Emma?" Lila's smile was warm and reassuring and completely fake. "Jake, I would do anything to protect your family. Clara and Emma mean the world to me." "Good! Because if anything happens to them, if anyone hurts them because of this mess, I won't be responsible for what I do." It wasn't part of the script, but it felt right. The worried husband pushed to his limit, making threats he might not be able to back up. Lila's smile faltered just a bit. "Nothing's going to happen to them, Jake. I promise." I left her standing in that expensive living room looking out at the lake and probably planning how to eliminate the problems that Clara and I had become. Back at the safe house, Agent Chen was reviewing the audio recording with her team. "She knows," I said. "She knows about Ethan, about the operation, about everything. But she didn't admit to anything actionable. She was careful." "So what happens tonight?" "Tonight, your wife goes in wired for sound and tries to get Brennan to confess to something we can use." Emma looked up from her homework. Even federal investigations couldn't excuse her from her college assignments. "What if Lila's suspicious? What if she knows it's a trap?" Agent Chen was honest. "Then things get complicated." "Complicated how?" "Complicated like your mother might be walking into a situation she can't walk out of." The weight of that settled over all of us. Clara had made terrible choices, had betrayed our family in ways I was still discovering. But she was still Emma's mother. She was still the woman I'd loved for 18 years. And tonight, She was going to risk her life to fix what she'd broken. There has to be another way, Emma said. There is, Agent Chen replied. But it involves letting Brennan disappear and spending the rest of your lives wondering when she might decide you know too much. So we do nothing? We do what we have to do. That night, as Agent Chen's team prepared for the operation at Lila's lake house, I sat with Emma and tried to explain how we'd gotten to this point. Your mother made some bad choices, I said, but she's trying to make them right. What if she doesn't come back? Then we'll figure out how to move forward without her. I don't want to lose her, Dad. Even after everything she's done, I don't want to lose her. Neither do I, sweetheart. Neither do I. At 7:30, Clara left the federal facility in an unmarked car, wearing a wire and carrying recording equipment that could put Lila Brennan away for 25 years. If it worked, if Clara survived long enough to make it work. Emma and I sat in the safe house, listening to radio chatter and watching surveillance monitors, waiting to see if our family would still exist in the morning. At 7:47 p.m., Clara's car pulled into Lila's driveway. Agent Chen's surveillance team had been in position for 2 hours, hidden in the woods surrounding the lake house with enough recording equipment to capture a whispered confession from 100 yards away. Emma and I watched it all unfold on monitors in the safe house, feeling helpless and terrified. Audio check, Agent Chen said into her radio. Clara's voice came through clearly. Testing, testing. Can you hear me? Perfect. Remember, Mrs. Morrison, we need her to talk about the money laundering, about using your law firm, about the plan to frame your husband. Get her talking about specifics. I understand. On the monitor, we watched Clara walk to the front door. She looked small and vulnerable, nothing like the confident attorney who'd been lying to me for months. Lila answered immediately, as if she'd been waiting by the door. Clara, honey, come in. You look terrible. I feel terrible. They moved to the living room where I'd sat that morning, delivering messages and trying not to get eliminated. Now Clara was taking the same risk, but with much higher stakes. Tell me what's happening, Lila said, pouring wine from a bottle that probably cost more than most people's car payments. Everything's falling apart, Lila. The police, the questions, Jake's suspicions. I don't know what to do. Start from the beginning. Clara took a shaky breath. Yesterday morning, Jake drove my car to surprise me at the conference. But there was no conference. I was with Ethan. Oh, Clara. The car broke down, and when the mechanic looked in the trunk, he found something. A package. Pills, Lila. There were pills in my car. Lila set down her wine glass with deliberate care. That's impossible. That's what I thought. But the police, the federal agents, they knew about Ethan. They knew about us. They knew things I never told anyone except you. What are you saying? I'm saying someone set this up. Someone put that package in my car knowing Jake would be driving it. Someone wanted him to get caught. Lila was quiet for a long moment. When she spoke, her voice was different, cooler, more calculating. Clara, you're not thinking clearly. You're scared and looking for someone to blame. Am I? Because the more I think about it, the more things don't add up. How did Ethan know Jake would be driving my car? How did he know about Jake's plans to surprise me? How did he know exactly when and where to plant that package? Maybe Ethan's smarter than you gave him credit for. Or maybe someone told him. The silence stretched between them like a wire about to snap. Clara, I think you should be very careful about the accusations you make, especially when you're talking to the police. Is that a threat, Lila? It's advice from someone who cares about you. Clara stood up and walked to the same window where Lila had stood that morning. Do you remember when we first met, 10 years ago at that charity fundraiser? Of course. You seem to know so much about me, about my marriage, my career, my financial situation. I thought you were just good at reading people. I am good at reading people. Or maybe you'd already been watching me, studying me, looking for weaknesses you could exploit. Clara, you're being paranoid. Am I? Because I've been thinking about all the times you encouraged me to complain about Jake, all the times you suggested I deserved better, all the times you pushed me to take risks, to be more ambitious, to want more than what I had. Lila's mask was starting to slip. I was being a good friend. Were you? Or were you grooming me? That's ridiculous. Clara turned from the window to face her. Is it? You introduced me to Ethan. You encouraged the affair. You suggested ways to hide it from Jake. You even helped me figure out how to access our joint accounts without his knowledge. I was helping you find happiness. You were setting me up. The words hung in the air like an accusation and a challenge. Lila stood up slowly, and I could see the calculation in her posture, the way she was weighing her options. Clara, I think you should leave now. I'm not going anywhere until you tell me the truth. The truth about what? About the money laundering, about using my law firm to move pill money, about the plan to frame Jake and steal our assets. Lila went completely still. I don't know what you're talking about. The federal agents know about the shell companies, Lila. They know about the client accounts. They know about everything. If they know everything, then why are you here? Because I want to hear you admit it. I want to hear you say that you destroyed my family for money. Lila walked to a cabinet and poured herself a drink from a crystal decanter. Her hands were steady, but I could see the tension in her shoulders. You want the truth, Clara? Fine. Here's the truth. Agent Chen leaned forward, listening intently. The truth is that you were perfect for what I needed. Unhappy marriage, access to client funds, ethical flexibility when it came to your own desires. You made it easy. So you did set me up. I gave you opportunities. You chose to take them. And Jake? The plan to frame him? Jake was a problem that needed to be solved. He was too observant, too protective of you and Emma. As long as he was around, there were limits to what you'd be willing to do. So you decided to get rid of him. I decided to remove an obstacle. Clara's voice was shaking now with anger or fear or both. And Emma? What about my daughter? Emma would have been taken care of. She would have had access to your assets, your life insurance, everything. She just would have had different guardians. You mean you. I mean people who understood the value of what she'd inherited. The confession was everything Agent Chen had hoped for, but it was also a capital punishment for Clara if Lila decided she'd said too much. The federal agents arrested Ethan last night, Clara said quietly. Lila's drink stopped halfway to her lips. What? They have him in custody. He's probably telling them everything right now. That's impossible. Ethan wouldn't. Ethan would do whatever it takes to save himself, just like you would. Lila set down her drink and walked to the window, looking out at the dark lake. When she turned back, her face had changed completely. The mask of friendship was gone, replaced by something cold and carnivory. How much do the federal agents know? Everything, including your cooperation, including my cooperation. Lila nodded slowly. I see. She walked to another cabinet and opened it, revealing not liquor but a small safe. From the safe, she removed a pistol. Lila, what are you doing? Solving a problem. Agent Chen was already on her radio. All units move in now, suspect is armed. But the lake house was 5 acres of wooded property, and her agents were positioned for surveillance, not immediate intervention. You don't have to do this, Clara said, backing toward the door. Actually, I do. You see, Clara, dead people can't testify, and accidents happen all the time at lake houses. Tragic slip and fall, head injury, very sad. The federal agents know I'm here. The federal agents will find your body tomorrow morning and assume you met with an unfortunate accident while trying to warn me about their investigation. Clara was almost to the door when Lila raised the tool. Don't. That's when the front door exploded inward. I'd been watching the monitors, listening to the audio feed, and when I saw Lila pull that tool, something inside me snapped. All the months of feeling inadequate, all the betrayal, all the fear for my daughter's safety. It crystallized into a single burning need to act. I'd left the safe house against Agent Chen's direct orders, driven Clara's car to the lake house, and arrived just in time to hear Lila threaten to eliminate my wife. Whatever Clara had done, whatever she'd put our family through, she was still Emma's mother. And no one was going to hurt her while I could do something about it. I hit that door like a linebacker, 18 years of frustration and rage behind the impact. Lila spun toward me, tool raised, but she'd been focused on Clara and wasn't ready for a new threat. I tackled her before she could adjust her aim, and we went down hard on the expensive hardwood floor. The tool skittered away across the room as we fought. Lila was smaller than me, but desperate, clawing and kicking like a cornered animal. I managed to pin her arms, but she got one leg free and drove her knee into my ribs hard enough to make me see stars. Jake, Clara screamed. Lila broke free and scrambled toward the tool. I caught her ankle and dragged her back, but she managed to kick me in the face with her free foot. Red fluid streamed from my nose as I lunged forward, trying to reach the weapon before she did. We both grabbed for it at the same time. Lila's finger found the trigger, just as I managed to knock her arm aside. The shot went wide. shattering one of those expensive floor-to-ceiling windows. Then Agent Chen's team came through every entrance at once. Front door, back door, broken window. Tactical gear, automatic weapons, voices shouting commands that brooked no argument. Federal agents dropped the weapon. Lila looked around the room, taking in the overwhelming force arrayed against her, and made a decision that surprised everyone. She smiled. "You think this ends anything?" she said, still holding the tool but no longer pointing it at anyone. "You think arresting me stops the operation?" "Drop the weapon," Agent Chen repeated. "This is bigger than me, bigger than Ethan, bigger than any of you understand. Last warning." Lila looked at Clara, then at me, then at the federal agents surrounding her. "Clara, honey," she said conversationally, "you have no idea what you've gotten yourself into." Then she turned the tool on herself. Agent Chen moved faster than I thought possible, tackling Lila and knocking the weapon away before she could pull the trigger. Within seconds, Lila was face down on the floor with zip ties around her wrists. "Lila Brennan, you're under arrest for money laundering, conspiracy, attempted homicide, and about 15 other federal crimes I'll think of on the way to the station." Clara collapsed into one of Lila's expensive chairs, shaking with reaction and relief. I sat on the floor, bleeding from my nose and trying to process what had just happened. "Mr. Morrison," Agent Chen said, "you realize you just compromised a federal investigation and put yourself and your wife in mortal danger?" "Yeah, well, sometimes you have to choose between following orders and protecting your family." Agent Chen looked like she wanted to arrest me too, but settled for shaking her head. "Next time, let us handle it. Next time, don't let it get to the point where someone's about to execute my wife." Clara looked at me with something that might have been gratitude or might have been shock. "Jake, you saved my life." "Yeah, well, don't read too much into it. I did it for Emma." But that wasn't entirely true, and we both knew it. As federal agents processed the scene and arrested Lila Brennan, I called Emma from Lila's landline. "Dad, what's happening? We lost the audio feed and—" "It's over, sweetheart. Your mom's safe. Lila's under arrest. It's over." Emma started crying, and I realized I was crying too. "Are you coming home?" I looked around Lila's destroyed living room, at the federal agents collecting evidence, at Clara giving her statement to Agent Chen, at the shattered window and the red fluid on the expensive hardwood floor. "Yeah, sweetheart, we're coming home." 3 hours later, we were back at the safe house. Clara was giving a detailed statement about everything Lila had confessed to. Agent Chen was coordinating with other federal agencies to unravel what she now knew was a multi-state money laundering operation, and Emma and I were sitting at that ugly kitchen table trying to figure out what came next. "Is Mom going to prison?" Emma asked. "I don't know. Probably not, if she keeps cooperating. But our life, the way it was, that's over." "What do you mean?" "I mean, I can't trust her anymore, Emma. I can't be married to someone who is willing to destroy our family for money and excitement." Emma was quiet for a long time. "Are you getting divorced?" "Yeah, I think we are. But you saved her life tonight. I saved your mother's life. That doesn't mean I can forgive what she did to us." Emma nodded slowly. "I understand. Do you?" "I think so. You can love someone and still not be able to live with them." "That's exactly right." Clara appeared in the kitchen doorway, looking exhausted and older than her 42 years. "Emma, can I talk to your father alone for a minute?" Emma looked at me, and I nodded. She kissed my cheek and went to her room. Clara sat down across from me at the ugly table. "Thank you," she said simply. "You're welcome. I know it doesn't change anything." "No, it doesn't. I know I destroyed us. I know you can't forgive me. Clara, you were willing to let me go to prison for 25 years. You were willing to let criminals threaten our daughter. You were willing to steal everything we'd built together. And you did it all for a man who was using you and a woman who was planning to eliminate you. I know. Do you? Do you really understand what you've done?" Clara was quiet for a long time. When she spoke, her voice was barely above a whisper. "I understand that I threw away 18 years of marriage for a fantasy. I understand that I put our daughter in danger for money I was never going to see. I understand that I trusted people who saw me as nothing more than a useful tool. And I understand that you have every right to hate me. I don't hate you, Clara. I hate what you did. I hate the choices you made, but I don't hate you. What happens now? Now you finish cooperating with the federal investigation. You testify against Lila and Ethan and whoever else was involved. You help them shut down this operation completely. And then? And then we get divorced. We figure out custody arrangements for Emma. We divide our assets, assuming there's anything left after the legal fees. We try to build separate lives. Clara nodded, tears streaming down her face. I'm sorry, Jake. I'm so sorry. I know you are. Is there any chance? No. The finality of that single word settled between us like a wall. I'll always love you, Clara said. I'll always love who you used to be. Clara left the kitchen, and I sat alone at the ugly table thinking about second chances and broken trust and the difference between forgiveness and reconciliation. 6 months later, the divorce was final. Clara had received a suspended sentence in exchange for her cooperation in the federal investigation that ultimately brought down a money laundering network spanning 5 states. Lila Brennan was serving 25 years in federal prison. Ethan Garrett had disappeared into witness protection after providing information about cartel operations. Emma was living with me in a new house across town, commuting to college and slowly rebuilding her relationship with her mother. Clara had moved to another state to start over, working for a nonprofit organization that helped families affected by financial crimes. The irony wasn't lost on any of us. I was sitting in my new living room, reading a book and enjoying the quiet, when Emma came home from a study group. "How was your day?" I asked. "Good. Mom called." "How's she doing?" "Better, I think. She's been clean for 6 months now." Clean. That was how we talked about Clara's recovery from the obsession to excitement and danger that had nearly destroyed us all. "I'm glad." Emma sat down on the couch next to me. "Dad, do you ever regret saving her that night?" "No, do you think I should?" "No, I think you did the right thing. Even if you couldn't stay married to her, she's still my mom. And she's still the woman you loved for 18 years. "That's right." "And I think what you did, saving her life even after everything she'd done, I think that says something important about who you are." "What does it say?" "It says you're the kind of man who keeps his promises, even when it's hard, even when the other person doesn't deserve it." I looked at my daughter, this smart, strong young woman who'd survived her family's destruction and somehow emerged with her integrity intact. "I promise to protect your family, Emma. All of it. Even the parts that were trying to destroy themselves. I know. And that's why I'm proud to be your daughter." That night, after Emma had gone to bed, I stood in my backyard looking up at the stars and thinking about the choices that define us. Clara had chosen excitement over stability, fantasy over reality, strangers over family. Those choices had consequences that we were all still living with. But I'd made choices too. I'd chosen to fight for my family even when my family was fighting against itself. I'd chosen to save the woman who'd betrayed me because it was the right thing to do, not because she deserved it. And in the end, those choices had defined who I was just as much as Clara's choices had defined who she was. I'd lost my wife, my marriage, and the life I'd thought I was building. But I'd kept my daughter's respect, my own integrity, and the knowledge that when it mattered most, I'd chosen to be the man I wanted to be, rather than the man my circumstances were pushing me to become. It wasn't the ending I'd planned for, but it was an ending I could live with. And sometimes, that's enough.